the way I've looked at this webinar, on how to increase your sales, how to win more bids, um, a lot of times people go in and they don't have a lot of confidence, and they go in being concerned that they're going to be competing on price, and they're thinking themselves the whole time, like, I don't want to win this on this low price, but how do I win it? So this webinar is going to give you that confidence to go in, show your potential client why you're different and why they should be buying from you and not somebody else. We're seeing massive success with it. Really excited to have you all here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off my webcam, go into the presentation so I can stay totally focused. Send questions along the way. I've got Sarah Buston from my team. She's on here with us today as well. She'll be taking questions throughout. So if you have any questions along the way, send them over in the questions box. She will prompt them at the Q&A. We'll make sure all your questions are answered. As you just saw, I was a little late on the other, so questions went long. That's perfect. You're here. I'm invested in you. You're investing in yourself, and let's really get this going. Okay, so high level, what we're going to cover today is kind of my story, kind of how I got here, our story and beliefs as a company, just so you can understand like why our process is different and how we've how do we come to this and start going out and winning so many contracts. And then I'll share with you how I won 80% of my sales, and we'll move into Q&A. So, my background, I used to own a cleaning company. I've owned a construction company, built it and sold it. I've owned a couple different companies, and I'm not a technical person. I'm the person in the field. I'm the person who's hands-on, on the ground, getting things done. And when I ran my cleaning company, I went in with the mindset. I have a business partner named Matt, and we went in with the mindset of we're going to change the industry. We're going to go from city to city to city, and we're going to build our cleaning company. What we found very quickly was, many of you are probably in the same shoes that, I was doing HR, I was doing sales, I was doing operations, I was cleaning if a cleaner didn't show up. I started my company to have a better quality of life. I started because I wanted to, be able to take off a couple weeks at a time and travel and do these things. And what I found out was I was so married to my company. Unlike any other company I've owned before, my cleaning company basically owned me, which I did not like. And I knew there had to be a better way. And so when we went from residential and commercial cleaning and then over into swept, we had built out our company into 3 different cities with the help of the software that Matt built around me. So he started building software for me and my needs in the field, and that's what separated us from other companies. That's what really helped us get to that next level. And when I sold my cleaning company, in comparison to when I started it, and even months after running it, I was a different person. It was a different business because it didn't need me every moment of every day. So if you can relate to that, I think you're going to really enjoy this webinar because I'm going to share with you. You can call it this our strategy, or the process, or our playbook on how we did sales. But whatever you want to call it, I'm going to share with you what I did, and it is totally doable for everybody on this webinar. It was transformational for me. It was transformational for our clients. We have people going out who have won a $100,000 contract in their first week of using Swept. So my mission now, you think about, I started off, scrubbing toilets at 3 in the morning when a cleaner didn't show up, into now being the CEO of this technology company. My personal mission is bringing awareness of technology in the janitorial industry. It is not difficult to use technology, and again, I am still to this day not really a tech person. I was a mechanic by trade, and so my mission is to make sure that people understand how accessible it is, and also the impact it can have on your company and you as a person who should and deserves to have some time to yourself. So we're going to jump into our beliefs. We believed as we were growing our cleaning company that cleaners could add more value aside from just cleaning. And what I mean by that is if they were happy, like our best cleaners who were happy communicated with us more. They always took up the slack from someone else. And what happened was, it's because we provided them better communication. We provided them better support. And so if you take a bunch of cleaners and throw them into a situation that is tough for them to be successful, they're probably not going to be that happy. And if you have a group of cleaners and you treat them well and you make sure that they are taken care of and that they have information and they know what to do and how to be successful at work, they actually do a really good job and they're happier. So this is our belief as we're going through the company, and it's what we're seeing today in the industry. It's very exciting. This is the iceberg of ignorance. So this is a theory that dates back 60s or 70s. I'm not sure what university came out with it, but it made total sense for our industry and our businesses, in that 4% of problems are known to owners. So, you know, the iceberg, you only see the tip of the iceberg and everything else is below the water. Cleaners know what's going on. They know if they're going to be late or if they've missed a shift before you do. They know if something went wrong, maybe there's a major spill in the bathroom or you know, a kitchen or a cafeteria or whatever space you're cleaning. They know if supplies are needed. They know if something broke. At the end of the day, they have more information than we as business owners have, because they're on the front lines. And so that was kind of our goal, is how do we close that gap? How do we make sure that we have the same information that they have? Because then you can make really good decisions. And that concept right there is going to lead us into how I won 80% of my contracts, because I was able to close that gap with Swept and I was able to prove it. So, you know, here we go. And one thing I'll mention is I truly believe that 20% of contracts that I did not win, and that my team who were going out and using this approach did not win, it's because the people only want to pay on price, and that is very good for them to go to my competitors. And you know, I've since sold my cleaning company, as I mentioned, but as I was growing it, you know, we started these businesses to be profitable, and you start a profitable company, you start with having profitable contracts. And I have been, you know, taken for a ride early days and didn't realize it and end up cleaning a space, and you know, they end up asking for more and more things as, you know, the months go by, and I'm trying to keep them happy and I don't charge more for it, and the next thing you know, you have a really unprofitable contract that consumes your time. So to me, 80% was a really great number, knowing that I was selling at a premium price and I was profitable from it. So before we jump in, what I'd love for you to do is think for a moment about your pitch, because as I mentioned, I'm speaking actually in Vegas in a few weeks. I'm in Florida a couple weeks after that. I'm speaking in Dubai. I'm speaking, you know, San Francisco, all over the place. Really exciting stuff. But when I have a number of different talks that I give, but when I've given this one, people at the end of it, they say, you know, what was it, you know, how was I pitching it? You know, they don't think, they can't really remember how they were doing, because I show them what I was doing and they're like, geez, that just makes so much sense. And I think I did that, or I think I kind of did something like that. So I want you to think for a moment about your own pitch. And do you, in a situation where they have 4 people who are doing quotes, how do you stand out? So you don't have to say this in the questions, you can just think about it internally for a moment. But if they say, I'm thinking about going with you, tell me why I should pick you over these other 4. How do you show them? How do you give them a really great reason to pick you? What we're going to do now, we're going to hop in and share with you, how did I reframe the discussion with potential clients and win? Like, this is exactly what I did. I went in and created a scenario, created a conversation that nobody else could follow. And here's how we did it. This would be a great point for you to take some notes. If you have any questions along the way, send them out. So, and I'll go through each one of these. So I did not spend a lot of time talking about cleaning. And the reason for that is because cleaning is boring. We mainly enjoy the industry, we enjoy the innovations, we enjoy all the things, and we, you know, it's how, you know, we, you know, build our livelihood. But for someone getting cleaning services, they may not care that much. So when they're asking for multiple quotes from people and everyone goes in and says, and takes them through, you know, whether it's a vacuum or a backpack vacuum or this or that or the other thing, they typically don't care. They clean their own homes, they've cleaned before, all they want from you is proof that you can do a great job for them, so they can trust you and pay you. And so when you talk about cleaning, it just doesn't really lend itself, you know, unless you're cleaning something that's very, very different, you know, something that needs a new approach or whatever the case is, something really technical. But for the most part, they don't care. In fact, the fact that you're there, they probably already believe you can clean the space. Now they're just kind of gauging you as a person and as a business owner. So try not to spend a lot of time talking about cleaning. The next thing is knowing your competitor's pitch. When I owned a cleaning company, I actually had competitors come into my friend's space and quote them because I wanted to see how they walk through the space, how do they come to a price, what were they saying? And interestingly enough, everyone says the exact same thing. They all talked about having green products. They talked about having the best cleaners. They talked about, their training process, and they've been around for X number of years, whether it's 20 years or 30 years, all of these things. And the funny thing is I was beating them. I was beating them as a younger company. And I did it because I first learned their pitch. I knew what they were saying, and I knew very clearly I don't want to say the same thing. Because if you're an office manager who's hiring a cleaning company and everyone says the exact same thing, the only thing that they can do is make a decision on price. So you have to really shake that up. The other thing is keeping in mind is that they probably are firing a company. They're probably going to fire a company who said exactly what everyone else said. So how are they going to trust you? That's really what it comes down to. They are trying to figure out who to trust, and they're looking for proof. And if everyone says the same thing, there's no proof. The third thing is I downplayed common interest. I know a lot of people who are in sales, and they really play the friendly, personable sales card. It's very good to be friendly and personable and all the rest. But the problem with it is if you go in looking for a common interest, or maybe you search them on LinkedIn or on Facebook and you see, whatever, maybe your kids both dance, or maybe you both went to the same high school, or whatever the case is, you find out that you have the same hobby. That's a great way to build a relationship early on, but it doesn't protect you when it comes down to negotiation. So what I mean by that is, let's say that you're looking at a contract and they really like you, that you've built this kind of, semi-friendship as you're going through the sales process. You follow up, they go back and forth, and they say, you know what, we're down to two other people, two other companies. I pick you 100% if you could just beat them on price. We got along, it seems like we really want to work with you, this would be great. And they put this pressure on you, and it's human nature. They're doing it because they're looking out for their best interest, and they probably really do like you better than everybody else. But you haven't created an environment to really leverage and own that relationship up front. I think it's very important. I have clients all over the world, and when I'm traveling and speaking, I stop in and visit people, and we built this great relationship. One of our clients in Boston sent pictures to me of his family. He has a new grandson. So that's great, and I feel good about those relationships. But up front, they use it against us, and so you don't want to fall into that bucket. So now I'm going to talk about, those are the kind of things that you shouldn't do, or I recommend that you do not do, and I didn't do. Now I'm going to talk about the things that you can do that really separate you. So you can reframe the industry expectations. You can let them experience your process. I'm going to show you both of those and how I did that with Swept. But as I said, I would lead them through something that at the end they had no idea, how to compare me to anybody else. And they knew that they really wanted to work with me, and that's how I had much better control on pricing so I could become profitable. So I'm going to jump over into the Swept app right here. So for a moment, what I want you to do is pretend, I'm just going to grab a drink of water here. I want you to pretend that I'm you. I'm in your shoes. I own a cleaning company, and I want you to pretend that you are the customer being sold to. So I would always go in and I would start with questions, once you have the, the intro, the hello, the nice to meet you, and things like this. When you start getting into the meat of the meeting, I would say to them, it's really important for me to know how you were let down. What frustrated you or annoyed you from the last cleaning company, so I can understand how to make sure that doesn't happen to you again, because I know what happens in the industry and it's very frustrating, and I want to make sure I do a really great job for you. So if you could share what went wrong, I can show you how I can, better prevent that from happening. And so I'd start this conversation out in a way that's really caring. I'm understanding. I know I want to hear from them, and I want them to talk to me, because if I go in and just talk, I might not even be talking about what their real problem is. They may only have one little issue that just drove them so nuts that, that's what they want solved, and you can show them quickly. So some of the very common things that would come up after I said that was they'd say, you know what, it seemed like there's a different cleaner in here all the time, and they never knew what was going on. They just learned my space and they would leave. And I'm sure many of you have heard this. The other thing, they'd say, there's a couple little things that I want done, whether it's, cleaning the whiteboards or not cleaning the whiteboards, or taking the dishes out or not touching the dishes at the office, or whatever the case is. But it seemed like those things always got missed. So I'd listen to them and I'd say, let me show you how we run our company. It's very, very difficult to run a cleaning company. All the cleaners are out in the middle of the night. That's when the managers and myself are home in bed. And maybe you're a one-person show and you only have a few cleaners, but you should be home in bed. You can't be up 24/7 running your business. And they understand that. And so it's kind of, instead of saying all these things that you're the best company, you're letting them understand what it's like to be in your shoes and how important you see it to make sure that they're taken care of. So you're letting them experience, life from your point of view. So I would say, once they tell me what annoyed them, I would say, okay, well, let me show you how we work with our cleaners. So you mentioned that it seemed like cleaners didn't know what was going on sometimes, or maybe there's issues with training. So when I pop into different locations, I can see, number one, where my cleaners are at. So I can see there's a little green icon. Again, this is a demo account, but this would be the same account that you'd be able to show. I can see that there's someone here. So I can go into that and I can see that Amy is actually on site. I'd say, so it's important for me to know when they're there. If they need something, I can check in with them. But as you mentioned, you always felt like people were forgetting things. So I'd say right at the bottom, we have instructions. And when we load instructions, cleaners have pictures of your space. So now I'm showing them something that's very different than they've ever seen before. They're starting to build confidence and trust in me that I can actually take care of things, because I'm showing them something very new. I'm reframing their expectations of what they should have for a cleaning company who's going to be in their space. So I would then say, here's some pictures of one of our other clients, or I'd even say it's a demo account, whatever the case is. Here's some things that are important to them. And what we wanted to do is make sure the cleaner had pictures, because you know what? Sometimes they're cleaning multiple spaces. All of them look kind of similar. We want to make sure that it's top of mind what's important to you. And I'd say, so tell me this. Seeing this, do you think that we would have a better chance of making sure that you stay happy and fulfilling our contract when cleaners have this kind of information? They'd always say yes. I'd also say to them, look, not everyone speaks English as a first language. And in positions for cleaners, it's even more common that they don't speak English as a first language. We use Swept, and it has over 100 different languages. So it instantly changes things so they can see what's expected of them. Again, I just pause and I'd say, what do you think of that? What are other companies doing? You're getting other quotes. How are they managing their cleaners and supporting their cleaners? And I'd just be quiet. And this is where everything would really shift, because they've never seen this before. We had people who actually referred to our cleaning company, like clients, as cool. And I don't know about your company. I would never, ever guess that my company would be called cool as a cleaning company. As I mentioned, I'd be in the bathrooms at 3 in the morning in the early days scrubbing toilets. That was the farthest thing from cool ever in my mind. But I created an experience. They start building trust. They start looking at this and thinking, this is going to make my life easier. I believe they can fulfill, the obligation of this contract, and they start working it through in their own mind. They're already now selling themselves on this because they're thinking of what it could be like to work with you. I show them that, there's ways for us to find out if there's any supplies that are running low or out. I show them there's also a message board so that cleaners can send messages, they can take pictures, and they can do different things. I just quick high level run through with them. I'd say, now the other thing that's really important to me is if someone's late. If someone's late, I'll actually get a notification at schedules, and it'll be in red. Now there's nobody late right now in this, but I can see Amy's there. If someone else was running late, it would actually have a little red icon. So I could find out instantly if someone's running late. I think it's important when I wake up in the morning to know if someone was on site or if they missed a shift, so I can take care of it for you right away. Before you even get to the office, I want to know. They love that. The next thing, and usually the last thing that I would show them, is I'd say, we are cleaning multiple buildings every night. And honestly, in the early days, sometimes we were only cleaning 1 or 2, and then we built and built. After we got to 3 cities, we were cleaning a lot more. But I would say we're cleaning multiple buildings at night, and I don't know if a cleaner showed up or didn't before using Swept. Before, at that point, it was our own software. It wasn't even called Swept. But it's important for me when I wake up to know what's going on so I can take care of it. So I'd say, look, I have these alerts. I go in, and the first thing I do is I search for any problems that have been reported. And any problem that's been reported, I can see. Perfect. I can see that the lobby, coming from Amy White, the lobby had mud all over the floor. It took more time. So guess what? Amy didn't clean the 2 back offices. And I'd show them a real example of this. And I'd say, so what I would do in this situation is I would follow up with you and say, hey, Amy did the right thing. She took some extra time. She cleaned the lobby to make sure it's very clean for you and your customers. And we'll get the 2 back offices next time we're in. So it's so powerful to have this information because, and I would even tell them, if I didn't use this, you would actually have to be the one who tell me this. You'd have to tell me at 10 and 11 in the morning that, hey, guess what? It looks like you guys missed the 2 back offices. Then I'd have to call my cleaner. Then I'd have to call you back. It's a mess. There's not a great way of running a cleaning company on pen and paper. It's really tough. And so when I let them experience this and went through, I just posed the question. I'd say, what do you think? Do you think that I'm better positioned or someone else? Like, how is everybody else doing this? You're doing all these quotes. What do you see? And time again, I kept winning contracts. And now my clients are winning contracts. This, I just showed you, maybe that took 4 minutes. Like, this is totally doable for all of you. And it's been so transformational. And it's kind of like I felt like I was married to my cleaning company, and using Swept to sell and then also manage allowed me to feel like I could actually step back. We have people who are taking, clients are taking these 2-month long vacations. It's really exciting for me to be able to provide that. So that is the basics of it. I think it's actually really, really simple. I think it's pretty clever, a way to really stand out and make everybody else look really old and out of date. We did a survey with over 500 business owners, and budget aside, when hiring a cleaning company, would their use of technology to improve communication and quality influence your decision to hire them? And 96% said yes. I love seeing that number. It's very, very high, but it makes total sense. I say we, but I'm no longer in your shoes. You are selling to people who either own offices or they're managing offices. They own businesses that you're cleaning for them. They use Facebook, they use Instagram, Twitter, whatever. They use all these social media applications that is a free download. These multi-billion-dollar companies have built products for consumers that are free, and they're really, really good. And so they don't understand, like, why is my cleaning company, why are not all of my vendors using this? But business is catching up to consumer software. And so when you position yourself like this, like they're already having an expectation that something like this exists, and when you show them that and nobody else can, you win that contract. It's just the way it goes. So I believe that right now the bar is very low, but in 5 years, 10 years from now, everyone is going to be using Swept or something like Swept. You're going to go in, and if you say, hey, look, we have multiple languages and we have all these things, you go through, they're going to go, yeah, so does everybody. But right now, it's so early that you go in. We have clients who are just pushing this. They're going, they're growing their business. They're winning these contracts because nobody else knows, these people do not expect this. They're not keeping up on the innovation in the janitorial industry. So when you go in, you look like you've created the software. And I think now is the time to go in there and win those contracts and build your book of business before you're competing with everybody once again with the same innovation and same technology at that point. So a couple things I want to share with you, stories, is Jason Martell from Inside Out Cleaning. He won a $2 million RFP, request for proposal, and said that Swept is changing his life. When I met Jason, he shared a story with me, and it was so funny. I was speaking at an event, and he said, what are you doing? I still own the cleaning company at this point. He said, what are you doing? You're going from, I just opened up my 3rd city. He said, my father started our business 30 years ago. I'm now trying to put my mark on it, but every time I close a contract, I take one step forward and a step back. I hire on more cleaners, and then we have turnover cleaners. I bring new clients, and we suffer quality in somewhere else. He started using Swept. He won that $2 million contract in a city, actually I believe is the biggest contract he's ever won, in a city that's 2 hours away from where he lives. And he's done that. He's maintained it. He's closing more and more work because he has the ability to keep his finger on the pulse of his business. And Justin from Zoe, so he's an area manager. This quote he keeps hearing over and over again from both clients and cleaners that their management team is so much more responsive. And of course, it's more responsive. They went from pen and paper, to actually using a system where everyone's on the same page and know what's going on. His day crew talks to his night crew. And I'll mention this: we have clients who have 2 and 3 cleaners, and we have clients that have hundreds of cleaners. It's the same problem. It doesn't matter what size of company you are. You have no idea when your cleaners leave, when they show up, if they need something, if something goes wrong. It doesn't matter what size of company. The information is so valuable. So I find it extremely exciting what we've created. My final thoughts on this is that you need to create trust through proof that you're different. You need to show this potential client when you're in this bid why they should pick you. If you don't give them a great reason, they're going to evaluate you on price. And so stop racing to the bottom on price. You cannot make money in those situations. You think, well, I'll just get this. I make a little bit of money on this one. I'll make some more on other ones. Like, no, don't take that contract. Let someone else take it and go out and get one that's going to allow your business to grow. And if you practice your pitch, you will win. I went out initially. I thought I was a great salesperson. I thought I've look at this. I'm winning all these bids. Soon enough, we were hiring on salespeople, and they were winning those bids. And then now we have clients that are winning these bids. So it wasn't me at all. It was actually the sales process, the playbook, like leading them through and setting those new expectations. So if you practice that, you will go out and you will win contracts. There's no doubt in my mind. I'm seeing it every day. Now what I'd like to do is throw on the webcam and move into Q&A.
Okay, so we have some questions rolling in, and I have posted the link as well as the deadline in the chat, and I'll email it out as well when we're finished here. So in terms of questions, let's see. Doug is wondering, do you have any tips for getting your foot in the door with new clients? How do you find leads?
Yep, great question. So what we do, I shared with you today a slice of what we were, kind of the sales process, like once you're in the door, how to lead them through, how to kind of change the way they're viewing you and thinking about you. To get leads, there's a lot of different things that you can do through digital marketing, cold calling, direct mail campaigns. One thing I'll mention is we tried something really fun. We tried totally different messages. We had these postcards set up, and we mailed them out, and one of them was like the typical like cleaning company, and one of them was someone screaming into a phone. This woman screaming into a phone, and we're like, annoyed with your cleaning company, and that did really well. Like that hit a nerve, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who looked at it just like through it, didn't think anything, but there was kind of some shock value there. So that's just a sidebar. One thing I would do is I'd look at, Sarah can send out the 21-day challenge. It's a free 21-day challenge that takes you through generating leads, going through the sales process, quoting the space, and sending a proposal. So go through, and Sarah, you can send that out in the chat and also via email if possible.
Yes, will do. Posting it right now.
Perfect. And so that will help you, get to the point where you're going in and going through the quote.
Okay, next question is from Melissa. She's wondering, what do cleaners think of using the app?
So cleaners really enjoy using the app, believe it or not. If I had to write down like what I thought before when I just started in the industry until now, I have had a totally different mindset. What we're seeing is cleaners, if you set up timekeeping for cleaners, a lot of times it's going to be, hey, guess what? We don't trust you. We're going to track you. We're going to use biometrics or facial recognition or whatever the case is. And put yourself in their shoes. It's like, wow, like I feel really good about working for this company. The way we position it with Swept is there's timekeeping and there's GPS geofence as well, but we support the cleaner. So having multiple languages, having a way for them to send a message if something goes wrong, having them have clear instructions so they can be successful. Like there is huge anxiety by cleaners going into offices at night, especially if they don't know, if they're new, if they're filling in for someone else. Like they don't want to get in trouble. If something goes wrong, they're getting in trouble. That's typically how it's set up in multiple, like most companies. So how do we make them feel good and empowered to do a good job? And if something goes wrong, tell us. Because as soon as something goes wrong and they tell you, you can take care of it. If not, just sits there until someone else lets you know, whether it's a client or maybe it never gets told. So we've intentionally built this product for cleaners, and our slogan when we were a cleaning company was, we focus on our cleaners so they can focus on you. And that rings like through in our product as well.
Awesome. Next question is, can timekeeping be linked to QuickBooks?
Yes. So timekeeping is linked to QuickBooks, so you can grab that information and put it in for payroll. Yeah.
Actually, we just got that question again. So there you go. It's a popular question.
Yep.
What else do we have here? Deborah is wondering, does it matter how many cleaners I have?
It does not matter how many cleaners you have. We've set this up. I wanted to tie the cost of the software, the expense, to a profit center. I didn't want, you have more and more cleaners, or maybe you have some cleaners that are part-time, and you have some that fill in once in a while. I didn't want to bill you for that. Every time you close a contract, every contract you have, you make money from that contract. And so for $7, like I say, it's such a small amount. We actually now have clients who are putting a software fee on their contracts. They say, yeah, there's a $15 fee for the software, da, 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 da. They're actually making money on Swept, which I think is genius. So you can have unlimited cleaners with the product. I want you to be successful. I want to grow with you. And so that made more sense to me to bill it that way, bill it attached to your profit center.
Okay, what else do we have here? Does Swept work with all devices, iPads, iPhones, etc.?
Yeah, so Swept works with flip phones. It works with a landline, which is an IVR on site. It works with Android and iOS. We do not use tablets. We used to use tablets back in the day. We had a client in New York who said, my cleaners don't have smartphones, so we need tablets. And we built them. And what happened was cleaners have smartphones. Like they're on Facebook taking pictures of what they ate last night. They're emailing, their friends and family. In fact, we have a site that people use to hire cleaners, and over 80%, thousands and thousands and thousands of cleaners, 80% of cleaners applied through their smartphone. So that's what our focus has been. Yep. Great question.
I don't see any more questions coming in, so I think we're good.
So I'll thank you all. One request I have for you is, if you sign up, if you get running with this, please send me an email when you win your first contract. There's nothing better. I get emails all the time now. I wake up and I'm flicking through and it's like, I won this one, or I did this, and it feels really good. I share that with my team. It keeps us going. We're here to help you grow, and that's ultimately how we all win. So thank you so much for taking the time. I know how busy you are. Looking forward to working with you, and any questions, send them our way. Take care.